An op-ed titled "Biden Demands Clean Lipstick for His Spending Pig," as excerpt reading. Democrats say Republicans must lift the debt limit with no strings attached and accept on trust the Biden gang's assertion that it will go along with spending restraint in a separate budget talk. Republican Senator Mike Lee of Utah is here, ranking member of the Joint Economic Committee, also serves on the Budget, Judiciary, and Energy Committees. Great to see you today. First of all, let's talk about this. Do you trust the White House on the back end of a deal in a separate talk to talk about cutting spending?
No, not at all. Look, this is a way the White House has of saying, heads we win, tails you lose. We're not going to fall for that. There's no chance that will work. We're using the same strategy, the same discussion, the same wisdom that Joe Biden himself embodied and expressed back in 1984, talking about the need, when approaching a debt ceiling increase, to deal with the actual spending problem. We need to do this now in connection with this debt ceiling bill. And by suggesting somehow that we ignore this, he's playing chicken with the American economy. Look, the House of Representatives, under Speaker Kevin McCarthy's leadership, and with the help of a whole lot of Republicans, they passed a really good deal, a really good compromise to increase the debt ceiling and at the same time reduce federal spending by $5 trillion over the next decade. We've got a growing list of Republicans signing onto a letter that I prepared, making clear that Republican senators are not going to support, we will not support cloture, bringing debate to a close on any debt ceiling bill that doesn't contain meaningful spending controls like those found in the House bill.
Well, you know, I do want to get to this because, and I just have to say this overall, the president's approval rating, Gallup just looked at it, they do every morning, 37%. He said he was going to bring the nation together. What is he doing right now?
Well, he's not doing a whole lot to bring the nation together, unless by the nation he meant the far left wing of the Democratic Party. He's great in unifying them. He's tearing everyone else apart. And he's doing that by saying a whole lot of things that are not true. Suggesting, for example, that somehow it's irresponsible to demand spending limitations in connection with a spending bill. Quite the opposite is true.
The Wall Street Journal editorial board calls all of it Chuck Schumer's debt default. It's asking, where is Chuck? He has denounced the House bill as dangerous with his usual nuance, but if he wants to avoid a default debt, he will have to pass a bill through the Senate. If he were serious about avoiding a default, as he claims to be, he'd sit down with House Speaker McCarthy and Senate Minority Leader McConnell. What's your response?
Yeah, it is absolutely true. That is what he needs to do, and he does have to get it through the Senate. To get it through the Senate, he has to achieve cloture. And in effect, what that means, Harris, is that as long as 41 Republicans are willing to say, we're not going to just give the president what he wants and just pass this so-called clean debt ceiling increase, we're going to demand significant spending reforms in this. It cannot pass. It will not pass. So he's got to get in the game, because this is happening. In the meantime, the White House is flirting with this idea that's very dangerous, something they floated to the New York Times today, suggesting that somehow the Constitution makes it illegal, unconstitutional, to have a debt ceiling. This is utter science fiction fantasy, and it's dangerous. They're wrong. They know they're wrong, but they also know they're losing this legislative debate because the American people are demanding better as they're suffering under the yoke of inflation.
Look, I really want people to understand, because, you know, you hear Democrats talk about this and the world's going to blow up, and you hear Republicans talk about it and they want to save the nation from pain. So there's some pain potentially there. What is it if they can't reach a deal on the debt ceiling and just have a complete standoff on all of it?
Yeah, so that if there were no deal, then once we blow past what's known as the X date, the date by which the Treasury doesn't have any more means with which to borrow, its borrowing authority having lapsed, and it can't invoke these extraordinary measures anymore. And by the way, that's reported to be around June 1st, according to the Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen. Once we go past that date, the Treasury can't issue any more bonds. It can't hold auctions. It can't issue more instruments of debt. And what that means is all of a sudden there would have to be a rapid prioritization of money as it comes through the door. You know, I assume they would pay interest on the debt first.
But what does that mean for Americans? Like you're sitting at your kitchen table. You've been paying such high prices for 2 years since Biden got into office. You've lost at least $8,000 on average of salary because of inflation each year he's been in office. What does this mean?
There's peril on either side of this. If we get into that moment where we just described, where we blow past the X date, all of a sudden a bunch of government programs are not going to be funded, and there will be great uncertainty as there is great flexibility in the Secretary of the Treasury to decide where the money goes. You don't know which government programs are going to be defunded, and so it's something we want to avoid.
Yes.
That's why there's a responsible way of handling this. If, on the other hand, Harris, if we just pass a so-called clean debt ceiling bill, one without any spending limitations, as President Biden has been demanding petulantly, what that does is also horrible, because what that does is perpetuate this massive Biden inflation that has been harming Americans. People in Utah are shelling out an additional $1,000 a month, every family, every single month, just because of the Biden inflation.
Wow.
This will get much worse if we increase the debt ceiling without constraints.
Look, he was president of the Senate as the vice president. That's his job. For 8 years, you think that he could get together with Chuck Schumer and work something out to get this to go to the floor. He's the one with 50 years in office experience. It is amazing and disappointing that the president of the United States will come to the table but not negotiate.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.